Military and diplomatic sources in the region tell me Saudi Arabia is very close to allowing its Air Force to strike targets inside Iran after facing unprecedented missile and drone attacks on its civilians, including incoming missiles today targeting Daman, its fifth largest city. Quote, the next 24 hours is going to be intense, I'm told. A line has been crossed, a well-placed official in the Gulf tells me. What's truly extraordinary, Harris, about this development is that it would not have been possible if Israel had not been brought in under U.S. Central Command at the end of the first Trump administration. Carrying out airstrikes takes tremendous deconfliction and coordination. CENTCOM used to be attached, Israel used to be attached to the European Command due to sensitivities with the Arab states that did not recognize Israel. That changed with the Abraham Accords. No U.S. personnel were killed or injured when the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was struck last night by at least 2 Iranian Shahed drones. The embassy was largely empty at the time. There is a division of labor right now in terms of targeting. Israel is targeting Iranian leadership, like that meeting that Trey mentioned of top religious scholars in Qom earlier today, where Iran's remaining top religious leaders were meeting to decide the successor to the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei.
That's a job with some severe problems. I don't know who wants to apply for it, because it seems like everybody who shows up at the meetings gets boomed. So good luck to them. I hope it continues and everything else. And now you got the other Arab countries who didn't initially get involved, who stood back and let Israel and America, take the lead. But then Iran screwed up and decided we're going to launch bombs at everybody. That was pretty stupid. And now look what's going on. Now they're going to take you out completely. The only thing I care about is I hope that the good Iranian people don't get caught up in this. I hope we're not going to see mass death of the Iranian people, because it's war. But in order to eradicate this insanity, some things are going to happen that may cause mass casualty events. In fact, on themselves, there were a whole bunch of panicans and black pillars who were running around saying America blew up a school. And like literally an hour later, the Iranians came out and said that was us by mistake. You can't trust any of these people. But the only person I'm going to make sure that I trust is President Trump. So here is the Oval Office meeting this morning. It is 35 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have a meeting with a man who's become a friend of mine, and we've known each other for a little while in some very interesting times. And we get along. Our countries get along very well. We have a great affinity for each other. And the Chancellor has been very well received in Germany. He's a very successful man, became the Chancellor of Germany, which is a big deal, and he's doing a very good job. In my opinion, a great job, very popular. And the relationship that we have in trade and everything else has been very strong. We've been able to do our deals, and it's been very strong. We'll obviously be talking a little bit about Iran today, and he's been helping us out. We've been very nice, actually. And that is coming along, as you see, very well. They have no Navy. It's been knocked out. They have no Air Force. It's been knocked out. They have no air detection. That's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out. So we'll see how we do. But we're doing very well. We have a great military, and they're doing a fantastic job. So we'll be talking about that. And we're talking about some very big trade deals. And those, I know, will work out, too. So I just want to say it's a great honor to have you at the Oval Office. The beautiful Oval Office, beautiful White House. It's a special place, even from your standpoint. And you have some very special places, too. And I look forward to being with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me here in this Oval Office for the third time now.
Yeah.
Really happy to have the opportunity to speak with you in these challenging times. We are on the same page in terms of getting this terrible regime in Tehran away. and we will talk about the day after, what will happen then if they are out. We have to talk about our trade agreement, which I would like to be in place as soon as possible. And we have to talk about Ukraine. There are too many bad guys in this world, actually, and this is an issue we have to talk about because we all want to see this war coming to an end as soon as possible. But Ukraine has to preserve its territory and their security interests, and, well, we will talk about that.
We will.
Looking forward to that.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you
That's some
for your
interesting.
hospitality. Thank you for letting me spending the night in your guest house.
That's right.
Very, very
Good.
comfortable place.
You liked it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, great place.
That's
and a famous place.
That's
yeah.
good. Very
so
famous.
many former presidents.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
Very famous place. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. Amazingly, they're hitting countries that were, let's call them neutral, right? They lived together for a long time. I think they were surprised. I was surprised. And now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them. Someday they'll write a story and they'll say why they did that, but they hit countries that had nothing to do with what's going on. They were sort of leaving everything alone. All of a sudden they had missiles shot in, which shows you the level of evil that we're dealing with. They'll hit people that were actually at least somewhat friendly, and they had no problems with it. Also hitting only civilian places, hotels and apartment buildings, and we're hitting them where it is much more appropriate. We're hitting them very hard, and the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left, and so they're going to be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people that killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000 over the last 3 weeks. Protesters, 35,000 violently killed. So these are bad people, and the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit, and I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership, and it looks like that was pretty substantial also. So they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity, and probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far, and we are. Everything's big in my book. Venezuela was big. This is big. The original hit, Midnight Hammer, was big. Everything you view is big, but it's not considered very big by some standards, by some of our standards. We have a military like no other military that's ever been built.
So Mr. President, what's the worst case scenario that you have planned for in Iran?
Well, I don't know if there's a worst case. We have them very much beaten militarily from the military standpoint. They're still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. They built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of them. They've shot a lot of them, and we're knocking out a lot. I guess the worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen. We don't want that to happen. That would probably be the worst. You go through this, and then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better. So we'd like to see somebody in there that's going to bring it back for the people. And we'll see what happens with the people. You know, they have their chance, and we've said don't do it yet. If you're going to go out and protest, don't do it yet. It's very dangerous out there. A lot of bombs are being dropped. But I would say that would be about the worst.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out. What do you think?
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, you know, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you'll have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody. But we have, I mean, Venezuela was so incredible because we did the attack and we kept government totally intact. And we have Delcy, who's been very good. We have the whole chain of command, and they've been, you know, look, the relationship's been great. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil already, and a big part of that goes to them, and a big part goes to us. And it's been great. We paid for the war many times over, and we're going to be running the oil. And Venezuela is going to make more money than they ever made, and that's great for the people. The relationship has been great. It's been seamless. Nobody's actually ever seen anything like it. If you look at Iraq, where very stupidly everybody was fired, the generals were fired, the military was fired, the police were fired, the fire departments were fired, and all of the government workers were fired. So after, you know, people would call, they had no idea. And by the way, ISIS was formed. That's where ISIS came from, all of the fired people. We don't believe in that. So we'll see what happens, but first we have to finish off the military.
Before they get to the next question, there was some breaking news. President Trump or Pete Hegseth or whoever have decided they're going to go in and escort the oil out of the Straits of Hormuz. So whatever blockade that Iran was trying to do, they're about to lose that blockade as well. And the oil that's going to be flowing out of there, I don't know if we're taking that oil as well, but we're going to go in and basically escort tankers in and out. That's huge.
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person, but it would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person. But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. You know, these were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is kill people.
Mr. President, what exactly was the imminent threat, Mr. President?
Not your turn. Not your turn, please.
Mr. President, are you going to take the heat off the Europeans to potentially help you? Mark Rutte called on the allies to also help you.
What does that mean?
Well, you have to ask Mark Rutte. He said not as part of NATO, but to be helpful to you in this.
Well, some of the European nations have been helpful, and some haven't. And I'm, you know, very surprised. Germany's been great. He's been terrific. Others have been very good, terrific. I think that the head of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Okay, Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
All right, so that is absolutely huge. I mean, President Trump comes from New York, and he sounds like a New York mob boss. Number one, you're not paying me my vig. We're not getting any money from you, and you want to try and break bad and tell us we can't use the airspace around Spain. You're not paying your bills, and you want to break bad. That's not going to work for you. Now you're going to get crushed. I'm sure the Democrats are already going to Judge Bo Asperger to tell Trump he can't do that to Spain. Too late, too bad. Scott Bessent is going to tell Spain, you're done, you're cut off, nothing is coming in from Spain. Imagine that. The biggest consumer market in the world, Spain will not be able to sell to. Now, will he go through with it, or will Spain capitulate? If Spain is smart, they would change their tune very quickly. Again, this guy doesn't bluff. So the president of Spain, or whoever that is, who said you can't use the Air Force base, number one, he goes, if I wanted to use it, I'd use it. Ain't like Spain's got an army. And number two, you haven't been paying your bills. And number three, now let me show you how it's going to be. You wanted the bull, you get in the horns. Now you can't even sell here. Nothing. Your people are going to go nuts in Spain. Your people in Spain who transact business back and forth are probably screaming at this guy, what the hell did you just do? Again, the problem is these people keep treating Trump like he was Biden or Obama. They think that they can just blow it off, and he's not going to let it happen.
What is the expectation towards?
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Mr. President, what's your expectations towards Germany? What can Germany do, and what should Germany do to help you in this conflict?
Well, I think they're doing it. I mean, they're letting us land in certain areas, and that's, we appreciate it. And they're just making it comfortable. We're not asking them to put boots on the ground or anything. I mean, we're just they're a respected country. I have a very good relationship with the country. We have, in particular, now with this leader, with this new leader. I think he's an excellent leader. I had my differences with Angela. I said, you're hurting your country with immigration, and you're hurting your country with energy. And we have a man sitting on my right that is, I think, pretty much the opposite of her on energy and the opposite on immigration. And I think he's doing very well.
Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most, I could ask Marco, but I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others. You're seeing that right now. And a lot of those missiles that are hitting in, those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first. And if we didn't, it could have been, look, we're really decimating them. They're being decimated. And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition. We have the high end. A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high end stored in different countries throughout the world. With this, we're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition, or munitions, as they say, we're giving away to, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. The Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. But we have a tremendous amount of munitions, ammunition, at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Mr. President, a question to both of you. How worried are you that the rising prices for gas and oil are damaging the American economy, and also what was the Chancellor?
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. This is, of course, damaging our economies. This is true for the oil prices, and this is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this war will come to an end as soon as possible, and we are hoping that the Israeli and the American army are doing the right things to bring this to an end and to have really a new government in place who is coming back to peace and freedom.
Yeah. Something had to be done. And it's been 47 years. They've been killing people all over the world for a long time. They were the kings and fathers of the roadside bomb. Soleimani, we killed him last term. If we didn't, I think it might be a different story today. They would have been much stronger and smarter than they are. But they did the roadside bombs. 95% of the people lost their legs, arms, had their face wiped out, just wiped out. I've seen some young people that it's so sad to watch. And that was almost all, 95% comes from Iran and was Soleimani. Soleimani loved it, his favorite weapon. He loved the roadside bomb. And when you see people walking around with no legs and no arms and a face that's been blown to hell, these people, what they have to go and the way they have to live, this is Iran. When you look at the barracks, the famous barracks, when you look at the hostages, when you look at a lot of hostages, when you look at all of the problems, they were really a purveyor of terror all over the world for many, many years. And it's something that had to be done, and I believe that if we didn't, because I see where Congress, if I didn't do this, guys like Schumer, who are losers, the Democrats, they're losers, that's why they're not here. Guys like Schumer would say, well, you should have done this. In other words, if I did it, it's no good. If I didn't do it, they would have said the opposite, that you should have done this. But most people feel, I tell you what, I have never had more compliments on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President,
yes.
How do you want to solve the conflict on tariffs between the EU and the US? And this
between who?
The conflict on tariffs between the EU and the US. How do you want to solve it?
And US and who?
EU, European Union.
How do you want to
well, we won on tariffs, actually. Somebody said you actually won the case. We won on tariffs. We had a decision that was wrong. It was a very bad decision from certain standpoints. From other standpoints, a very powerful decision because it reaffirmed all the fact that we have all these various forms of tariffs that we felt right, but it totally reaffirmed it. It said you can use all of these tariffs. So we have all these vast menus of tariffs, and tariffs have made our country very rich. We have to charge tariffs to nations who play with their money. They move their money up and down like a yo-yo. We have to take care of nations that have been good to us and fair to us, and we're going to take care of them. Other nations, they haven't, and we haven't let them take advantage of us. But the whole thing with tariffs is we had a decision that, like as an example, we have a license situation, and the license is something that allows us to immediately stop all business with, nobody even knew we had this power, but we do now because of the decision. We have the right to stop all business having to do with a certain country. If a certain country is not treating us well, the president, without going to Congress, has the right to stop. Sort of interesting. I have the right to stop, but under that one law, I didn't have the right to charge them. So I have the right to license them, but I don't have the right to charge, which is frankly ridiculous. But the right was given to us by the Supreme Court. And we have the right, as an example, we talked about Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain, I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it. And we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
Well, sir, I think we're going to talk about it with you. I know that you have a strong power. The Supreme Court clarified. We know you can use it, and if you need to use it to assure national and economic security, we'll do it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo, and as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigations, and we'll move forward with those.
And we've instituted a 15% tariff on everybody, as you know, and just used. I'll tell you, we had a couple of paragraphs written in that opinion that were really incredible. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a fantastic dissent. But in his dissent, he said what we should do, and we knew that too. We just wanted to simplify it, and for some reason, I think, very, very foolishly, the courts decided no. But they said you can do it many other ways, and that's what we're doing. And what we've done is we've gone to a very simple, straight 15% tariff. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in our country because of tariffs. So we've taken in all of this money, hundreds of billions of dollars, and honestly, it's made us very rich as a country. Right? So it's been doing good. When will you have the full plan implemented? We have a 5-month period, up to 5 months, where we can go at 15%. And while we're doing that, as you know, we're doing the various studies and things, and we'll be coming out with different tariffs on different countries. You want to talk about that first?
Yes, sir. By the time the 5-month period has elapsed, we'll have completed investigations under Section 301, which Secretary Vance talked about. We know there are countries out there with deals who are very interested in keeping the deals. We need to go through and investigate all these unfair trading practices, the kinds of things you talked about, and make sure that we're protecting U.S. economic security. We know there are countries.
How are we going to treat Germany?
Well,
I think you should hit them very, very hard.
You knew he was right there when you said they have expressed an interest. Germany's been quite constructive in wanting to move forward and be helpful. The rest of you will talk to them as well. But obviously,
I will say every single country wants to make the deal they already have. In other words, a deal that we have using the other authority, they want to make the same deal. And we'd like to see, actually, we're going to adjust it somewhat upward, actually, but they all want to stay in the deal, and so we'll probably be able to do that pretty easily.
For Ukraine, after all, Iran won't be able to deliver drones to Russia anymore. So what does this war mean to Ukraine? And having Chancellor Merz sitting next to you, who would you call if you want to talk to Europe? And Chancellor Merz, you've just been in China, the president...
Who are you, what country are you from?
I'm from Germany.
Okay, I thought so, I could see.
So, Mr. Chancellor, you have been in China and the president...
She likes you.
In China soon.
I don't know.
Will you be talking about China as well during this visit?
We'll be talking about China, yeah.
Sure. And what about you?
I'll be going to China in a little while. Every time you meet, you talk about China. We respect China. I do. We both do, I think. But it's always a topic of conversation. We've had a very good relationship with China. We used to lose a tremendous amount of money with China, and that's no longer the case. We have a a very, very good relationship with China, and we have a very good relationship with Germany. All right.
Mr. President, we've seen countries around the world, many of whom don't usually work together, working with the United States on Iran, whether it's Saudi Arabia working with the United States, Israel, Qatari shooting down Iranian aircraft, and we've also seen European countries step up. Why are we seeing such unity around the world against Iran?
That's a great point. Look, they're just evil. They're it's not the politics; it's their whole philosophy. It's their whole where they come from. It's terrible. Where they kill 35,000. I thought it was 32. Now it turns out it's much more than 35,000 people, and in some cases using machine guns with people that have no weapon. They have no weapon, and they're being machine gunned. They're being sniped from buildings. They're hitting the people with snipers right through the eyes. It's just a very evil ideology, and nobody's really seen anything like it. As I said, even the fact that they've attacked all of their neighbors, and the neighbors weren't attacking. They thought they'd maybe sit it out or what. They've hit Qatar, they've hit UAE, they've hit Saudi Arabia, they've hit Oman. They were helping us negotiate. They got hit. Everybody got hit because they're evil and they're bad. It's a bad seed, and somebody had to do it, and it should have been done sometime during a 47-year period because so much death has been caused by them, so much unbelievable death. From Germany too. Germany's been hit. Everybody's been hit by them. It's an evil ideology, and I've never been. Look, I've done a lot of good things. So many people say thank you, thank you, thank you. You see it in the streets of Los Angeles. They have thousands of people. I saw it the other day. Pictures of Donald Trump, and I'm looking. I'm on the phone, probably talking to you, and I'm looking, and I see my picture. I say, oh no, it's another, protest. I see my, and then I started saying, boy, they were very friendly people. And then I saw a woman hugging the picture of me. I said, what's going on? And it turned out to be these are Iranian people that live in the United States.
So many.
Thousands and thousands. You saw the rallies. And in New York, too, they had a big rally. My pictures all over the place. The fact is that people are happy what we did. And you could never, and I've always said it, you could never have had true peace in the Middle East if Iran was allowed to go, even beyond the nuclear. If Iran was allowed to have look at all the missiles they built. A lot have been now taken out by us, and a lot have been expended. But they had thousands of missiles in a fairly short period of time. And I'll go two things. The attack that we did, known as Midnight Hammer, had we not done that, Iran would have had a very powerful nuclear weapon within 1 month. We did it. It was great timing, but, and you've been able to see that too. The other thing was Barack Hussein Obama made maybe the worst deal I've ever seen, because he gave all power in the Middle East to Iran. He went the exact opposite way, and I terminated that. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would be sitting with a massive nuclear weapon 3 years ago, which would have been used already on Israel at least, and other countries also. And we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But if I didn't terminate the deal that Obama made, giving them everything, including plane loads of cash. Do you remember the airplane flew over there? It was a Boeing 757. There was two of them loaded. They took out all the seats. It was loaded with green cash. So much cash that it was in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They got all the cash from all the banks. They put it, and they flew it to Iran. I never knew a president had that power. I'm going to maybe try it sometime if it's okay. I think I'm going to do it. I'll fly it somewhere. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. 2 planes loaded from floor to ceiling. Big planes, Boeing 757s, taken over there and given cash. In addition to that, he was giving them billions of dollars. But worse, he was giving them the right to have the path to a nuclear weapon. And that deal expired. A lot of people said, oh, you terminated it. Well, it was going to be terminated anyway because it expired. It gave them the right to have top-of-the-line nuclear weapon. If they had, because they're crazy, just like the people on my right during the State of the Union. I looked at them, I said, you're crazy? These people are crazy. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. All right, how about one or two more?
Mr. President.
Go ahead, please.
Chancellor Merz, you just heard that the president is thinking about punishing Spain. What are your thoughts spontaneously on this, and what can you do to,
Well, the answer on that is quite simple. We are trying to convince Spain to catch up with the 3% or 3.5%, which we agreed on in NATO. And as the president said, it's correct. Spain is the only one who is not willing to accept that. And we are trying to convince them that this is a part of our common security, that we all have to comply with this numbers. And this is 3.5 for military and another 1.5 for our military infrastructure. So Spain has to comply with that.
Spain has been very, very uncooperative. And so has UK. Now, the second one is shocking, but this is not the age of Churchill. I will say the UK has been very, very uncooperative with that stupid island that they have, that they gave away and took a 100-year lease, having to do with perhaps indigenous people claiming the island that never even saw the island before. What's that all about? And they ruin relationships. It's a shame. It's and that country, UK, and I love that country. I love it. My mother was born there. I love it. My mother was born there. My father was born. Right? He knows all about my father. My father was born there. So, you know, very places that you sort of automatically very feel warmly about. But the UK, what they're doing with energy and what they're doing with immigration is horrible. You have the North Sea. Somebody said yesterday, what would you do if you were the UK? Open up the North Sea. They got windmills all over the place that are ruining the country, ruining the landscapes, ruining the beautiful fields. Open up the North Sea. It's one of the greatest. Think of it. They buy their energy from Norway, which gets the energy, the oil, from the North Sea. So Norway drills in the North Sea and sells it to UK. And UK is a better part of the North Sea. Open up that. And number two, illegal immigration. They got to solve that problem. And I must say, that's not only UK, that's other parts of the European Union. They have the same problem. Immigration and energy. The energy is through the roof, the highest in the world. And the immigration was, I mean, you know, look, you have places where in the UK, you have a terrible mayor of London, terrible, he's an incompetent guy. But you have Sharia courts. You don't have Sharia courts. You don't want Sharia courts. You have Sharia courts adjudicating law. So it's very simple. Immigration, very importantly, immigration and energy. And you bring it back. Otherwise, you're not going to bring it back. Okay. One more. Go ahead.
I have a question for the Chancellor.
Yes, please.
To the Chancellor, Chancellor Merz.
Yeah.
You've called for unity and joint force in this moment against Iran. What does that look like to you? And then, Mr. President, where is getting a deal with Russia and Ukraine on your priority list right now?
Okay,
So we, as I said in Germany the last 2 days, we are supporting the United States and Israel to get rid of this terrible terrorist regime. And we are looking forward to a day after, and we have to talk about the strategy. What is following after this regime is away, and we have to strategize on this entire region. And we are having a high interest in common approach and common work and what we can do, and this is important not just for the Americans. This is extremely important for Europe and extremely important for Israel and their security. So we are really looking forward to find ways how to deal about the day after.
And as far as Russia, Ukraine, where is it on my priority list? Very high. We thought that, I thought it was going to be one of the easier ones. I've settled 8 wars, and actually maybe one more than that. but minimum 8 wars, big ones, potential India, Pakistan, big wars, very important, big ones. I thought this was going to be much easier than it is. There's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky, tremendous hatred. I've seen a lot of hatred in my life, but I think this is about top scale. I believe it's going to happen. Sometimes I blame one, sometimes I blame the other. I think it's going to happen, but it's high on my list. Not in that it affects the United States so much, because it's very far away, but last week, I just see last week, and for the last 4 weeks actually, 32,000 soldiers died. 32,000. And it's been averaging 25 to 30,000 soldiers a month have been dying in that stupid war. And I'd love to see it ended. It's the worst that there has been since World War II.
If you can't get a deal, what will that mean for you?
All you can do is do your best. You know, it takes two to tango, and they have to get along. They have to be able to talk to each other. They hate each other a lot. That has an impact. You know, it really has an impact. It's bad for both. The saddest is that if the election weren't rigged, my election, that war would have never taken place. And you know what else wouldn't have taken place? Allowing 25 million people to pour through an open border. That wouldn't have taken place. A lot of things would have been different. But we're doing very well. And I think a big factor in this world and future factor is what we're doing right now with Iran. If we don't stop them, or if we didn't stop them, or if we didn't start, they've been decimated. But if we didn't do what we're doing right now, you would have had a nuclear war, and they would have taken out many countries, because you know what? They're sick people. They're mentally ill, sick people. They're angry. They're crazy. They're sick. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
I love as he's calling the Democrats sick, crazy people. The guy from Germany is just like, yeah, so yeah, they're nuts. Oh my gosh, they're nuts. I've got so much content. I'm probably gonna have to do a second show today because so much stuff is happening. Marco Rubio is talking right now about briefing the Senate. So maybe we can have that video tonight. Man, there's so much news, so much happening. I could probably just keep broadcasting for 5 or 6 hours, but we shall see. In any event, let me talk to you about our our newest sponsor. Well, not newest, but one of the good ones. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back. It's happening everywhere. Some countries you're not even allowed to talk. What the heck just happened there? Let me get Marco Rubio while I go ahead and see what the heck just happened there.
A terroristic regime. With an update, I will obviously refer you to the Department of War. Suffice it to say that our objectives remain as they've been identified from the beginning and by the President laid out clearly yesterday. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and we will now not allow Iran to hide behind the immunity of a massive short-term ballistic missile inventory or the ability to make them or launch them. And so CENTCOM, in a joint operations, is carrying out a systematic destruction of their missile belt, destruction of their launchers, and destruction of their ability to make these, as well as the destruction of their Navy. From what I've been told by the Department of War, everything is on or ahead of schedule and proceeding on these objectives. We have every confidence in the world that these objectives will be achieved. The last point I would make is, and I said this yesterday and I repeat, what's about to, you're about to see, we're going to unleash Chang on these people in the next few hours and days. You're going to really begin to perceive a change in the scope and in the intensity of these attacks as, frankly, the two most powerful air forces in the world take apart this terroristic regime and defang it and take away its ability to threaten its neighbors or hide behind a zone of immunity that allows them to develop their nuclear ambitions. This terroristic, radical, cleric-led regime cannot be ever allowed to have nuclear weapons. We saw what they were willing to do to their own people. They were willing to slaughter their own people in the streets. Imagine what they would do to us. Imagine what they would do to others. Under President Trump, that will never, ever happen. All right?
Yesterday you talked about Israel. Mr. Secretary.
Please, guys, I can't hear them all. Yes.
Yesterday, you told us that Israel was going to strike Iran, and that's why we needed to get involved. Today, the president said that Iran Iran was going to get.
Yeah, your statement is false. So that's not what I was asked very specifically. Were you there yesterday?
Yes, I
Okay. No, were you the one that? Because somebody asked me a question yesterday. Did we go in because of Israel? And I said, you were asking me that. You from that follow-up, and I said no. I told you this had to happen anyway. The president made a decision, and the decision he made was that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ballistic missile program. That Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ability to conduct these attacks. That decision had been made. The president systematically made a decision to systematically destroy this terroristic capability that they had, and we carried that out. I was very clear in that answer. This was a question of timing, of why this had to happen as a joint operation, not the question of the intent. Once the president made a decision that negotiations were not going to work, that they were playing us on the negotiations, and that this was a threat that was untenable, the decision was made to strike them. That's what I said yesterday, and you guys need to play it. And if you're going to play these statements, you need to play the whole statement, not clip it to reach a narrative that you want to do, all right?
This is your statement. This is your statement, Mr. Secretary.
Go ahead.
What do you make of the war powers resolution that's being considered here in Congress?
I mean, Congress votes on those. They can if they want. There's mechanisms for it. We've complied with the War Powers Act, even though we believe it's unconstitutional, as has every other administration. Every other president has found the War Powers Act to be unconstitutional. Nonetheless, we notified Gang of Eight, which was an appropriate mechanism by which to notify Congress. We sent the notification within 48 hours, the way the law requires. I'm here today to have, I don't know, my 6th or 7th briefing before the entirety of the House and Senate, which is far more than I ever got from any administration in the time that I was here, certainly when I was a member of the Gang of Eight. And so we've complied with we've over-complied with the law and what it requires. This is an action by the president to address a real threat, This is hostilities designed to eliminate a threat to the safety and the security of the United States and to our allies.
Was
there a plan in place to evacuate Americans before the attack took place?
Well, that's the plan we're trying to carry out. The problem is, or the challenge we are facing, is airspace closures. If a country closes their airport, for example, in some cases the airports have been hit. So the airport in Kuwait was hit. So if an airport's been attacked or the airspace is closed, then we can have the planes lined up to go, but we can't get them to land because we don't have the permissions to land there. So that's the challenge. But rest assured, we are confident that we are going to be able to assist every American. As I told you right now, we have about a little over 1,500, maybe closer to 1,600 Americans requesting assistance, and we know that we're going to be able to help them. It's going to take a little time because we don't control the airspace closures. That said, there may be more people out there that need help. We need to know who you are. So please, I'm asking the media, publicize the phone numbers and the website, because we need people to call in so we have their name, we have their contact information, we have their location and their request. So as these opportunities begin to open up, we can act very quickly to reach them and get them out of harm's way.
Mr. Secretary, I want to just clarify what you said. Because you said
there's nothing to clarify.
But you said I would get that.
No, but you have to read. If you're going to read the whole statement,
your quote is about, we knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that would precipitate an attack.
Yeah, no, I understand. But listen, all right, let me understand. Yeah, but I had a very specific question from that gentleman, right?
The president said. The president said.
Hold on one second. I asked the very
force Israelis.
Okay, but let me answer, because this is my press conference. Sure. Okay. You asked me, I was asked a very specific question, so you guys can misrepresent it, but I was asked a very specific question yesterday. The bottom line is this. The president determined we were not going to get hit first. It's that simple, guys. We are not going to put Americans' troops in harm's way. If you tell the president of the United States that if we don't go first, we're going to have more people killed and more people injured, the president's going to go first. That's what he did. That's what the president will always do. He will always put the safety and security of our men and women in uniform and of all Americans before anything else. He's always going to do that, and that's what he did here. In addition to that, I would argue that this threat from Iran, they are hiding behind these missiles and hiding behind these drones. They wanted to reach a point where you couldn't touch them, and then they could do whatever the hell they wanted with their nuclear program. And there is no way in the world that this terroristic regime was going to get nuclear weapons, not under Donald Trump's watch.
So the U.S. attack had nothing to do with Israel. It had nothing to do with Israel.
This operation, there's a general question of why the president gave the green light, and then there's a question of why did it have to happen this weekend? Are you saying it had to happen this weekend because of that Israeli action?
No, this weekend presented a unique opportunity to take joint action against this threat. And we wanted this to have maximum success. We want this operation to be successful at achieving its objectives. I'll repeat the objectives. The president laid them out yesterday. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It cannot have, and therefore it cannot have the things it was hiding behind to have a nuclear weapons program. What are those things? Number one, we are going to destroy their missiles and their missile launchers. We are going to destroy their capability to make these missiles and these launchers, and we are going to destroy their Navy. Those are the objectives, and this weekend, acting at this time, gave us the highest probability of success in achieving those objectives, and as the Department of War will brief you, we are on or ahead of schedule to do that.
So the U.S. attack would have happened no matter what? Would the U.S. attack have happened no matter what Israel is planning to do?
The House said Israel was going to act with or without
the President
the
had already made a decision to act on the timing. The President acted on the timing that gave us the highest chance of success, and that's what you're seeing play out right now. You're seeing it play out right now, and you'll see it in the days to come. We will systematically take apart their missile program. We will destroy their ability to sponsor terrorism, by the way. We will destroy their factories. We will destroy their Navy. Those objectives are going to be met. We're well on our way to meeting them. It will not be easy. There will be a price to pay for it, but that is a much lower price to pay than having a nuclear-armed Iran. I got to go brief these guys. Hold on. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Secretary, how heavily is the administration leaning into the 2001 AUMF for justification of these strikes?
What now?
How heavily is the administration?
Well, that's not our notification to Congress. Our notification, listen, let me explain to you guys this in simple English, okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The President made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their Navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon. That's why the President made this decision. It was the right decision, and the world will be a safer place when these radical clerics no longer have access to these weapons. You see how they're using them now. Imagine how they would use them a year from now if they had more of these. All right, I got time for one more. Yeah, go ahead.
What exactly was the threat?
Several Democrats criticized what you said and argued that
the question is, several Democrats criticize. They're going to always criticize. We've been doing this for years, guys. They come out. I'll tell you right now, they're going to come out after the briefing and say, we didn't hear anything. We have more questions than answers. You mark my words. But we still do these briefings. Go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, their criticism was on the timeline. They said that Israel is dictating the timeline for the United States.
No,
and as you know, several people on the right have also agreed with that. How would you respond to that?
Well, the United States made a decision. Under the President of the United States made a decision. This is intolerable. Iran cannot have these missiles, cannot have these drones, cannot threaten the world. The President said this is the weakest they've ever been. If we don't hit them now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, no one will be able to touch them, and they'll be able to do whatever they want. And he made a decision to go. And he made a decision to go in a joint operation because they gave us the highest chance of success. And he made a decision to go first because he concluded that we were not going to get hit first. We were not going to absorb a blow from them. We were going to go first. He was not going to run the risk that they could attack us before we could hit them, because in addition to costing lives, it would undermine the effectiveness of our operation. All right, guys, I got to go. Thank you.
I don't get it. I don't get our media. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. What the vitriol around Israel is just amazing. Every other country the Democrats absolutely love. If we were doing something for Ukraine, if we were doing something for Bermuda, you mention the word Israel and these people lose their friggin' minds. It doesn't make any sense to me. Well, I guess it kind of does. Can there really be that many anti-Semitic people in the media? It's absolutely mind-blowing. Oh, what about Israel? Did Israel do this? Did Israel do that? We're taking care of Iran. What do you care about what Israel did? Why are people so feverish about anything Israel? The trolls come here. If I put in Bibi Netanyahu in a title, we would have hundreds of trolls come in. It's you guys don't even know what SV and Roaring Rage and Beth have to do, and Severo when they get in here, and how they have to play whack-a-mole every time you mention Israel. There's something really sick in the head with these people and how they treat that entire country and all of its people. And if you think I'm lying, you can ask SV and Severo and Roaring Rage right now. Hey, is it really bad? Yeah, anytime he mentions Israel, anytime he mentions Bibi Netanyahu, it's like orcs come charging in. People they lose their skin, they lose their minds when you talk about Israel. I don't get it. But anyway, Marco Rubio handled that like a champ, absolute champ. Bam, 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 bam the whole time. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Hey, I got my spot here I got to do again. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back. It's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want you to see. And we need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech and challenging their censorship. But now on the other side, they've introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. So that's why they launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip your creators, like myself, without any middlemen taking cuts. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours, only yours to protect your future and your family. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with the click of a button. There will be no fees when you tip my channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where you have to wait probably a month for a payout. So support my show and support other creators by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com, and download Rumble Wallet today. Open an account and step away from big banks for good, forever. Wallet.rumble.com, or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores or Play Store. Now, what's really interesting, and I just want to say to the guys at Rumble, thank you very much again. I mean, our whole time up in Washington was phenomenal. And I got to use their studio, and they were more than helpful. So I feel very compelled to work with these guys because they do so much for creators like myself and others, and they don't get enough credit. Everybody knows Dan Bongino is the king, and he does all his stuff on Rumble, and he's a part owner. But all the other stuff they do to help creators expand, it's been amazing. And no, they're not paying me to say that. That was just something I'm like, I just want to give these guys some props. So I've got a ton of information to show you guys. Right now, I've got to show you an interview I did with Kim Bright at Brightcore. And then after that, I'm going to show you something. If I have time, we'll do something with JD Vance. And then Marco Rubio, I have another piece with him. So I will be right back. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but 4,400 patients have filed lawsuits, and that number continues to climb. These lawsuits allege harm ranging from sudden vision loss to severe and, in some cases, life-threatening gastrointestinal issues. Check out this clip.
A panel of judges just made a major decision about vision loss lawsuits involving popular weight loss and diabetes drugs.
Our 13 Investigation reporter Sarah Putman joining us live in studio. She's been staying on this issue, and she first told us about this potential side effect just earlier this month.
And then that's when I reported that dozens of attorneys had filed vision loss lawsuits, and more are likely coming now that this panel of judges says that these cases can be consolidated into an MDL or multi-district litigation.
These vision loss lawsuits are scary, but this isn't the first time the creators of GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy have been sued for extremely detrimental severe side effects. Thousands of individuals have filed lawsuits in 2025 claiming a long list of debilitating conditions not adequately listed on the warning labels. And this is one of them.
Juanita Gantz struggled with her weight. At age 62, she weighed 242 pounds. Yet the most she could lose trying various diets, she says, was about 20 pounds.
I almost felt defeated and humiliated. I mean, why couldn't I lose this weight?
Then she saw ads for drugs, including Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Her doctor agreed that because of her diabetes risk, she was a good candidate for one of those drugs and prescribed her Wegovy and later Ozempic, both GLP-1 drugs made by Novo Nordisk. But several months later, in October 2023, Gantz's husband found her on the floor unconscious. This photo was taken by her daughter, a nurse at the hospital where Gantz was taken.
I had no idea what had happened to me.
Doctors found parts of her large intestine had died. It had to be removed. Then, while recovering from surgery, she went into cardiac arrest, prompting the hospital to call her daughter to warn her mother could die.
I had no warning that this was even a possibility.
She's now suing drug maker Novo Nordisk, claiming its drug labels do not adequately warn patients and doctors about potentially serious side effects, including gastroparesis or stomach paralysis and bowel obstruction. Vance says she wants others to know about her experience.
This should not have happened to me. It just should not have happened to me. If it happened to me, it could happen to you.
And so to talk about all of this today, I've got my nutrition specialist, the expert, Kim Bright from Brightcore, and she's going to talk about this stuff today with us. Kim, how you doing?
Hey, Barry, I'm doing great. You know, this is so terrible. I feel so horrible for Juanita, this lady, this nice lady. I mean, part of her large intestine actually died, which almost would have resulted in her death. She was very, very, lucky that that didn't happen. But Barry, what makes me feel even more sad is that this is only one of many stories. And these lawsuits are popping up, like you talked about, left and right, and are primarily around these medical conditions where people are losing their vision. And it's a sudden loss of vision due to optic nerve damage from these drugs, stomach paralysis, where the stomach stops moving the food efficiently, leading to the persistent vomiting and hospitalization then. And then, of course, intestinal obstructions. These are potentially life-threatening blockages in your digestive tract.
We all want to lose weight. We think there's this magic pill out there. And so these people glom to these things because they think this is going to be the panacea, the thing that solves a big riddle. But at what cost do we have to spend for people to realize there's no easy pill for this?
No, there is not an easy pill. There's, it's common sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't end there. Take a look at this study as well. So, Kim, what does that study say and what does it mean?
Well, Barry, this recent study shows that people that are using the GLP-1 drugs are suffering from hair loss, both men and women, but it was even worse for women. I'm 71 now, and I still have a full head of natural hair. There's no extensions here, nothing. This is all natural. And I sure as heck don't want to lose it. And, people they're very attracted to a quick fix. It's very appealing to people. But turning to prescription drugs, just think about it, people, the dire consequences that those bring with them. I mean, I've been helping people with their health for so long now, over 50 years. And I do understand the dangers of a quick fix. I've seen it with some people. A quick fix, is kind of like a get rich quick scheme. You're never going to actually get rich, Barry. And guess what? You never actually get healthy when you turn to dangerous drugs. And remember, these pharmaceutical companies, what they're looking for is to make a profit. They're not all that interested in how you're going to feel or what is going to happen to you. They're not looking out for your best interests.
The old saying goes, and it applies here, if it's too good to be true, it usually is too good to be true. And of course, they're only interested in profit. This is what RFK Jr. had to say about Novo Nordisk, the largest GLP-1 pharmaceutical company in the world.
Kennedy Jr. participated in a roundtable this week where the conversation focused on America's chronic illness crisis. In his speech, he blasted Americans' unhealthy lifestyles, exacerbated by our foods, by Big Pharma, and by our Congress, now over 100 members of whom have received funding from Nordic drug Ozempic. Here's a clip from the roundtable discussion. Let's watch.
And there's a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6. Over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese, the cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise.
All right, Kim, what's that all about?
Well, your gut health has a big impact on your thyroid, your weight, and how fast your body is going to burn energy. And the good bacteria that's in your gut will help your body use thyroid hormones in the right way, will absorb important nutrients, and definitely controls inflammation. And when your gut gets out of balance, what happens is your metabolism slows down. Then you store more fat, and it's harder to lose the weight. But when your gut bacteria are healthy and balanced, they keep your body burning that energy better. They manage the weight more easily, and your metabolism is running so much smoother.
And as we get older, our metabolism even slows down as well. So it's something that we have to take advantage of and understand completely, because you got to do something about that, or that metabolism slows down, you gain more weight. So in your 50 years of experience helping people with issues like this, what would you recommend people to do if they want to avoid the dangers of GLP-1 drugs, other than not taking them at all?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, having dealt with so many people I've counseled over the years, I've discovered that if you can make just one change, if you're willing to do one change to your diet, it can make a world of difference. And that one change is to consume the centuries-old food kimchi. It is the best thing you can do for the health of your gut microbiome.
And I don't know if you guys have seen this and you know what he looks like, but look at what RFK Jr. did. So Kim, this is pretty incredible. Tell me about the carnivore diet and what he's done with kimchi.
Well, I think it's pretty incredible. If you, are losing 20 pounds in 20 days, RFK Jr. lost that eating only meat and fermented foods like kimchi. And not only, Barry, did he lose 20 pounds in 20 days, he also says that he gained mental clarity as a result of the diet. That's wonderful. And, I even heard from a friend that he carries a jar of kimchi with him when he goes out to restaurants. Let me tell you why kimchi plays such a big role in his diet, Barry. Kimchi contains 900 plus strains of unique beneficial bacteria. Now, sauerkraut only contains 28. Huge difference. And yogurt typically only has several strains.
Can you explain why kimchi has played such a significant role in his rapid weight loss?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a study done that showed that people who are obese are missing a couple of crucial probiotics within their gut that people within a healthy weight range possess. And having these specific strains in your gut can make all the difference between being obese or being skinny. And guess what? Kimchi has these probiotic strains. And that's why recent studies show how effective eating kimchi really is. So I think that's the source there for him.
I want to show this graphic to everybody again, because it really is kind of mind-blowing. And in this graphic, it says kimchi diet reduces body fat by 30, almost 32%. 32% in a preclinical study. How is that even possible?
Because when people get these beneficial strains of bacteria into their system, into their gut, they're naturally going to achieve their body weight goals. This is how important our gut health is. This is how important those strains of bacteria are to keep your gut healthy. And this is just one of many recent studies, Barry, that show the same thing. When people consume kimchi, they achieve lower body mass index, BMI, reduced abdominal fat, and that includes the terrible visceral fat. That's going to melt away. And now you're getting smaller waistlines, more regularity, which results in less constipation and bloating.
Why isn't this, why did it take RFK Jr.? Why has this been so suppressed in terms of this information? Is it because of the food companies and their desire to keep people, unhealthy? But it seems like this is information that everybody should be talking about. And before you answer that, I want you guys to watch this because it supports everything that Kim has just said.
Here in Hawaii, kimchi, it's a local favorite, and now a new study gives us even more reason to like kimchi. A recently published report in South Korea found that people who ate moderate amounts of kimchi daily are at a lower risk for developing obesity. The report found that Korean men who consumed 1 to 3 servings of kimchi a day are less likely to develop obesity than those who ate less than a serving per day. So there you go, pound down the kimchi.
And I want to go back to the point of extreme mental clarity as well. You know, why do you think that RFK Jr. experienced such a cognitive change from this diet that he's on? And as I said earlier, why has this been suppressed from, the widespread media?
Well, let's answer that first. I think that it's been suppressed because pharmaceutical companies don't want you to be well, really. They want you to continue to take drugs. They wouldn't advertise that. And the people that are trained, in doctoring, they didn't know it. They weren't trained in it, so they're not going to explain that to you. And of course, the pharmaceutical companies, they just want to continue you on drugs. So it's been suppressed for a reason. And the people that make the bad food, of course, don't want you to eat good food. So it's all together, they've been all together. But let's get back to the cognitive aspect of it, why he gained that as well. The gut-brain axis think of it as a highway between your gut and your brain. And it's going to involve the nerves like the vagus nerve, hormones and immune signals, where those immune signals are constantly sending messages affecting your mood, your digestion, your stress, and your cognitive function. Now, with gut microbes playing a significant role in this crosstalk, you get a great result. Think of your gut as a second brain, and that's actually talking to your actual brain. It's going to influence everything from anxiety to appetite. And Barry, so often doctors, when they target brain disease, they're going to prescribe medications in an effort to directly target the brain. That's treating the symptom. They don't treat the root cause. They treat symptoms instead of curing the problem. And here's another thing. Your happy hormone is called serotonin, and it's also a neurotransmitter. 90% of that is produced in your gut. And that is what's responsible for regulating anxiety and depression. So if your gut's not healthy, you're not going to produce the happy hormone, the serotonin. And there's just a ton of reasons why kimchi played such a substantial role in his mental clarity.
Kim, we have so much to talk about because, I've got a big monitor in front of me and I'm seeing news that's coming out. It seems like there's so much information about Maha. You must be extremely busy trying to keep up with everything. And now they're talking about everything you've talked about with me for a year. We're actually seeing it play out on the news right now. Now the big thing is he's going after processed foods. So the next, I don't know what we got in store for the next interview, but it just seems like maybe we can talk even more because it just keeps happening. And I've never seen this much news about health in years. It's amazing. It seems like every other day there's something else that I can get you on to talk about.
It's so exciting. I mean, I've been trying to teach this for 50 years. Yeah. And of course, now it took all these years to get to this point where we now have RFK Jr., and he's in a position where he can actually talk about it. So I'm thrilled. And, there's just so many health benefits from kimchi. And we wanted to make it easy for people to consume daily. And that's why we went ahead and created Kimchi One. And whether you like the taste of kimchi or not, it's something that is, it's not something that's easy to eat every day. But now with it being in a capsule, these convenient capsules are made for daily use. And we use a cold process drying methodology to retain all of the fiber and nutrition, because fiber is important to keep that gut health in play too. Low in sodium. It's, if you buy the kimchi in the store, or you make it yourself, it's going to be high in sodium. Right. So people on those restricted sodium diets, this is great for them. 100% made in the USA, non-GMO and all natural. And we have so many people that call in or write us about their success from taking Kimchi One. People that they weren't regular. They were constipated. They had problems with their digestion. They had all kinds of problems with their digestion, gas, bloating, people who had problems with their immune system and used to get sick all the time. They're not getting sick anymore, Barry. And people with diabetes, they could not control their blood sugar. Now that seems to have balanced out for them. And people with high blood pressure and cholesterol who couldn't find a way to get off their prescription drugs, guess what? They've been able to lower those. Some of them are off of them. I know the pharmaceutical companies don't want to hear that, but guess what? That's the truth. Even, there's people that have suffered from hair loss. They're now regrowing hair. Their hair's getting thicker. It's getting shinier. The guys are going to the barber. The barber's going, "What are you doing? I see new hair growth." Or the women are going to the beauty salons. "Well, I see new hair growth up here around your, up in here."
Did you notice?
And there's studies that show this as well.
Did you notice a couple days ago, or it may have been just like yesterday, they're now finding out that the chemicals that they're using to put the hair extensions in might be, carcinogenic. They may be causing cancer just from those chemicals, which I always thought, because you walk into any beauty salon and it smells like you just walked into some sort of pharmaceutical lab because they're sticking all this stuff on people's heads. So that might be another use for kimchi, because these women may not be able to continue using hair extensions. It's absolutely crazy, the stuff that we're finding out on an almost daily basis. So do you have a special offer for the Fanfare family?
Yes, we want you all to grow beautiful, thick hair and have it, forever. And we want you to be healthy and get that gut healthy. So today, go to brightcore.com/Barry to get 25% off your order of Kimchi One using the code Barry, or call 888-418-6738 to get up to 50% off your order plus free shipping. And Barry, we're a small family-owned business, and so we like for people to call. We like to answer your questions. We want to make you feel comfortable that this is the right product for you. And the first 100 callers today are going to get a free bottle of Fortify with their order. Now, Fortify contains all 9 essential amino acids. They're going to protect you against cellular damage. They're going to help you retain muscle mass, which we all lose as we're aging. And especially you lose that muscle mass when you're rapidly losing weight. It also helps boost your hormone production, and it supports brain chemistry. So remember, you can only get the best discounts and that free bottle of Fortify when you call in. And that number is 888-418-6738.
Well, Kim, like I said, so much to talk about, and I can't wait for the next interview. And you guys that want to learn more, again, call the number, and Kim and her staff would be happy to answer your questions. Kim, thanks again for coming on, taking a moment out of obviously busy day with everything going on.
Well, thanks for having me, Barry, and you stay healthy and eat your Kimchi One.
Will do.
Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, joins us now. Mr. Vice President, why this operation and why now?
Well, good evening, Jesse. So to step back just a little bit, if you go back to Midnight Hammer in the summer, what the president wanted to do with that mission was eliminate Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon. And we did destroy the nuclear enrichment facilities during Operation Midnight Hammer over the summer. Now, here's the thing, Jesse. We destroyed Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon during President Trump's term. We set them back substantially. But I think the president was looking for the long haul. He was looking for Iran to make a significant long-term commitment that they would never build a nuclear weapon, that they would not pursue the ability to be on the brink of a nuclear weapon. And after months, really almost a year of painstaking diplomacy, what the president determined is he didn't want to just keep the keep the country safe from an Iranian nuclear weapon for the first 3-4 years of his second term. He wanted to make sure that Iran could never have a nuclear weapon, and that would require fundamentally a change in mindset from the Iranian regime. So he saw that the Iranian regime was weakened. He knew that they were committed to getting on that brink of a nuclear weapon, and he decided to take action because he felt that was necessary in order to protect the nation's security.
You know, it's what I find interesting about that same question coming up over and over and over. And that question being, why? Why are we doing this? Why was it an imminent threat? Why now did he have to do it? And you know, Jesse had on JD Vance last night, and I've got like 3 interviews that I'm going to show you that were on various shows. We've got this one with JD Vance, then we've got one with Bibi Netanyahu. Oh my God. And then we've got Steve Witkoff. And so they're going to be telling you the story as to why this had to happen when it happened. But for some reason, as we saw earlier with Marco Rubio talking, the media is just incensed. They're just crazy. They won't accept what the president is doing. And again, you can question all you want, but at the bottom end of the day, like I showed at the beginning of the show, we're Americans. We have to have allegiance. We have to have loyalty. I think that's what really, really drives people crazy. The media thinks at this point, we don't have to have any loyalty. We can hate the president. We can hate MAGA. We can hate Americans. And it's just the opposite of where we need to be. Can we get back to that point? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get back to the point where we come together unified as a country to understand, in order for us to get through this revolution and fight enemies foreign and domestic, we have to put faith into our leaders. And some of them obviously don't deserve it. And a lot of people on the left feel that Trump doesn't deserve it. So I don't know how we get back to the center where we become a unified country that loves our country and wants to move forward in peace and fight the revolution that's before us.
So Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary Rubio, and the president have both said something along the lines of, you ain't seen nothing yet. We can hit 3 times as hard. What does that mean?
Well, what it means, Jesse, is we have a lot of capacity here. I think there's a lot of chatter about what our objectives is, what our goal is. I mean, I think the president's been extremely clear about our objectives, and it's that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. But there's also been a lot of conversation about what are our capabilities. And look, I know this stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal classified information here on air, but the President of the United States knows what we're able to do. He knows that we have much greater capacity to inflict damage on the Iranian nuclear program, but also on various missiles that threaten our troops. As you've seen, they've been launching those at our troops for much of the past 3 days. So I think the president has made it very clear that the United States has a lot of optionality here. And, you know, we could go for a little bit longer, we could go for a lot longer, but I think the president just wants to make it clear to the Iranians and to the world that he is not going to rest until he accomplishes that all-important objective of ensuring that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, not just for the next few years, not just because we obliterated Fordow or some other enrichment facility, but because the Iranians themselves commit long-term to not building a nuclear weapon.
You know, after Iraq and Afghanistan, some people say, oh, here we go again. Is that something here you're thinking about?
Well, Jesse, if you think back to Afghanistan, 20 years of mission creep, 20 years of not having a clear objective, and 20 years of the United States trying to bring liberal democracy to Afghanistan. Iraq was a little bit shorter, but we were still in that country for nearly a decade with no clear mission, no clear definition. What's so different about this, Jesse, is that the president has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish. And there's just no way, I said this before the conflict started, I'll repeat it again, there's just no way that Donald Trump is going to allow this country to get into a multi-year conflict with no clear end in sight and no clear objective. What is...
You know, one of the things I think people are purposely, with mal intent, trying to do is compare this to Afghanistan and Iraq. Both of those were quite a ways ago. The technology we have right now just defines this conflict, this operation, completely different. We're not there to just go ahead and, you know, basically set up shop there for years and years and years. We are using technologically advanced weaponry to do what we need to do. President Trump also had posted this. Where did that go? Oh, I don't know what happened there, but it's not there. But anyway, I don't know why that went away. in regards to this, he's talking about the munitions. While he's talking, I'll see if I can't get that fixed.
Different about President Trump, and it's frankly different about both Republicans and Democrats of the past, is that he's not going to let his country go to war unless there's a clearly defined objective. He's defined that objective as Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and has to commit long-term to never trying to rebuild their nuclear capability. It's pretty clear, it's pretty simple, and I think that means that we're not going to get into the problems that we've had with Iraq and Afghanistan.
Do you and the president care who runs the country now? Or you just kind of sit back and kind of shape it from the sea and the air?
Well, I guess, Jesse, you know, in a perfect world, yeah, we would love it if somebody came to power in Iran who was willing to work with the United States, who was willing to show some respect to the United States, and again, most importantly, made that long-term commitment that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. But ultimately, Jesse, whatever happens with the regime in one form or another, it's incidental to the president's primary objective here, which is to make sure the Iranian terrorist regime does not build a nuclear bomb. So, you know, there are a lot of things that could happen with the regime. Obviously, the president and I would prefer that you have a friendly regime in Iran, a stable country, a country that's willing to work with the United States as opposed to, you know, bomb our soldiers and try to build a nuclear weapon. But fundamentally, so long as we achieve the president's objective to make it clear that Iran can't build the bomb, I think the president will be happy with the outcome.
And you saw evidence that they were still trying to enrich?
Not just that they're trying to enrich, Jesse, and this is one of the almost comical elements of the diplomacy that we've been engaged in for the past month, the past year, I should say. You know, Steve Witkoff, Marco Rubio, Jared Kushner, they did such a good job, such a deliberate job. But the Iranians would come back to us, Jesse, and they'd say, well, you know, having enrichment for civilian purposes, for energy purposes, is a matter of national pride. And so we would say, okay, that's interesting, but why are you building your enrichment facilities 70 feet underground? And why are you enriching to a level that's way beyond civilian enrichment and is only useful if your goal is to build a nuclear bomb? Nobody objects to the Iranians being able to build, you know, medical isotopes. The objection is these enrichment facilities that are only useful for building a nuclear weapon. Even some international organizations that usually don't agree with the United States were very clear that Iran's only purpose in building these underground, highly enriched facilities was to build a nuclear weapon. It just doesn't pass the smell test for you to say that you want enrichment for like medical isotopes while at the same time trying to build a facility 70, 80 feet underground.
Yeah, they were trying to jerk you guys around, and that obviously didn't work. Mr. Vice President, God bless you guys, and God bless our troops. Thank you so much.
Pray for our troops, Jesse. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, for some reason, well, we know what the reason is. You start thinking to yourself that what he just said there, the media is not telling anybody. The media is not telling people that you don't need to have a facility 70 feet underground in order for, you know, to just be using nuclear power to do stuff to run your power and your businesses and things of that nature. You're doing it 70 feet underground so that you can obviously do the bad stuff that you want to do. And they don't want to talk about it. It's all a lie. President Trump posted this. Yeah, it's working. The United States munitions stockpiles have at the medium and upper medium grade never been higher or better. Now, it's very interesting. I'm not into military, so I can't tell you what the upper medium and medium level weapons may be. That's something we'll have to look at. As was stated to me today, we have a virtual unlimited supply of these weapons. So at the medium and upper medium grade, we have a virtually an unlimited supply. Wars can be fought forever and very successfully using just these supplies, which are better than other countries' finest arms. At the highest end, we have a good supply, but are not where we want to be. Much additional high-grade weaponry is stored for us in outlying countries. Sleepy Joe Biden spent all of his time and our country's money giving everything to P.T. Barnum Zelensky of Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars worth. And while he gave so much of the super high end away, for free. He didn't bother to replace it. Same thing like with the oil. It just tried to deplete our resources. Fortunately, I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so. The United States is stocked and ready to win big. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So he's having to explain to people, no, we got it. And I don't know what premium, above grade, medium, and medium mean in terms of stuff that blows up. So we shall find out what exactly he means there. Then he posted this as well. We have an unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry. Brutal stuff. The Wall Street Journal story was wrong and a disgrace. President Donald J. Trump. The Wall Street Journal is trying to put out disinformation and telling people we didn't have the goods. We can't fight this war. Again, why are you doing that? I mean, we think back to the pictures and stories we heard about World War II, where Rosie the Riveter and everybody came together to fight. Do your part. And here we got the media just trying to destroy things and lie. I mean, absolutely lie about things. And then President Trump just posted this a little bit like an hour ago. He posted this. It says, effective immediately, I've ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide at a very reasonable price political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all marine trade, especially energy traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all shipping lines. If necessary, the United States Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Straits of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the United States will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The United States economic and military might is the greatest on earth. More actions in this regard to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So they're going to make sure now, in whatever capacity, that the oil will continue to flow. Obviously, it will continue to flow under the auspices of the United States. I had told you guys yesterday what the thought pattern here was with the whole Straits of Hormuz to begin with, which is why he probably took Venezuela in advance. By taking Venezuela in advance, he could guarantee our energy wouldn't be subject to any problem. And by now going into the Straits of Hormuz, he can tell China, I can got you covered as well. So there's going to be a whole bunch of negotiations happening very, very soon. If you guys have never, I'm giving you a little notice here. We're going to hear from Bibi Netanyahu. If you don't want to hear Bibi, go ahead and log off.
The reason that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson, but they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action.
All right, so what you're hearing him say is that at this point they had to take action because Iran was close to a nuclear bomb. In fact, what you're going to hear Steve Witkoff say is they actually told him to his face they weren't going to have any deals because they had enough stuff to make 11 nuclear bombs. So the question you should be asking yourself and asking people in the media when they say it wasn't an imminent threat, how much of an imminent threat do you need if Iran is close to making a nuclear bomb? Do you want to live someplace, anywhere in the world, where Iran could possibly, let go a nuclear bomb? One of the things during President Trump's press conference, and I think it was him who said it, but other people are saying it, is what you're seeing are some of these missile silos are either unmanned or have already been pre-programmed like a dead man switch to fire off. and they're firing off these things to different places, to Qatar and Saudi Arabia, because at this point, there's nobody there to stop them. There is no leader. You have a leaderless country right now. That means it's complete anarchy. There are no bosses. So whoever's pulling the switches or pushing the buttons, they're not answering to anybody. And so that's what's going on, because they keep blowing up all the people who are going to be the leaders. That is the closest thing to anarchy that you can possibly have, an armed military with no leaders. That is insane. And so in order for them to bring these people in, they've got to find them. They've got to tell them, hey, listen, there's no place for you to go here. Lay down your arms, get your fingers off the buttons, because they're not able to communicate with anybody in control. So that's what's happening in Iran right now. There are no bosses. There are no military leaders. They've all been blown up. And the lower level guys are out there just shooting stuff. They don't know. Listen to what he says.
Let's say, well, the prime minister of Israel dragged Donald Trump into it. And as somebody that's been friends with him over 30 years, nobody drags Donald Trump into anything, number one. But I want to get your reaction to that.
Well, you're right. I mean, that's ridiculous. Donald Trump is the strongest leader in the world. He does what he thinks is right for America. He does also what he thinks is right for future generations. And frankly, we're partners in that effort, because I've devoted my life to securing the life of the one and only Jewish state. And believe me, it's been a struggle.
I like how he chuckled, because every single one of us probably feels the same way. You're not going to make Donald Trump do anything. Oh, Israel's controlling him. Oh, he's got files of him with like naked kids and stuff. You're a moron. Let me be the first to call you a super moron if that's what you believe. You can't help these people. Many of them are never coming back. They're never coming back. Now, this next interview is with somebody who many people don't know. They may have heard the name Steve Witkoff. They don't know that what he and Jared are doing are out there doing God's work, trying to stop all these nuts. And he's going to tell you some things in this interview that should give you some insight as to what these Ayatollahs were thinking and what they were capable of. But the media doesn't want to hear it.
Special envoy to the Middle East, friend of the program, Steve Witkoff is with us. All right, you're in the room with these negotiators, and I know you. You are a deal maker. The president wanted a deal. You had a lot of latitude in that room. Bring us inside that room.
First of all, Sean, thanks. Good night, good evening, and thanks for having me. So, just to give you a little bit of a taste for how these three days of negotiations went, 3 separate times. Jared and I opened up with the Iranian negotiators telling us they had the inalienable right to enrich all their nuclear fuel that they possessed.
All right, so think about that. You walk into a meeting and the people across the table tell you they have the inalienable right. They have the God-given right to enrich as much uranium as they possibly can. That's your starting point. The ideological mindset of these nuts, these Ayatollahs, is that we have the God-given right to blow up everybody. That's your starting negotiating point. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be a long time here, because you think it's, it's heaven sent or Mecca sent or whatever, that you have the ability and should have the ability to blow up the world. That's insane. You're sitting across from insanity. How do you negotiate with that? Oh, the media's not going to talk about that. The media acts as though the Ayatollah was just some old guy with a pretty beard. If their ideology is that Jews should die, the little Satan, and blue-eyed white people should die, the big Satan, the great Satan, and the infidels, the rest of us who aren't either Jewish or blue-eyed, there's no negotiating. And that's what the media doesn't seem to get. And I say to myself, they want you dead. That's what they want. There's no listen, hey, listen, can we have like New York and you guys can have the other states and we'll just use you New York. No, dig into this and they want you dead. The media right now is protecting an ideology that would kill them. They wouldn't even have jobs. They wouldn't be able to go out there in short skirts and put on perfume and makeup and everything else and do stories. They'd be dead. Put on the Habib or the burqa and shut the hell up. I don't understand why they don't get it, that this is what they want. That they demand Sharia law. These people wouldn't be the elite. You get your butt back in the house. I know you used to work for CNN, Caitlin, but here's your new outfit. And you can get rid of all that makeup and everything. By the way, don't even talk to us. You're just a woman. I'll let you know when I want to talk to you. They don't get it. The same thing with the LGBTQ stuff. They'll throw you off a building. They'll smile in your face right now because you're walking holding a sign. Yeah, Iran. But if they got control over you, they would toss you off of a building. Is it Barry making it up? No, I've seen the videos of them actually doing it. Tossing people off of buildings. And so when you sit back and hear him say, our first conversation, as we walked in the door, it wasn't, how you doing, Steve? How you doing, Fred? How you doing, Jared? Let's see how we can work this out. No, we have the inalienable right to blow people up. That's one hell of a start for a negotiation.
That's how they opened up. We, of course, responded that the president feels we have the inalienable right to stop you dead in your tracks. They then went on to say that beyond the inalienable right to enrich, that was going to be their starting point. And Jared and I just sort of looked at ourselves flummoxed and said, well, we're really in for it now.
I don't know how many of you had negotiations. Maybe you wanted a higher pay at work. Maybe you wanted the different shifts. Maybe you went through a divorce. Maybe you had whatever negotiation it was. When the other person says, hey, I'm here to kill you. Where do you go? Hopefully you've never had that kind of negotiation. It is my inalienable right to blow you to hell up. This is going to be a tough one, Jared. And I love what he said. Well, it's our inalienable right to stop you. Perfect answer. But at that point, you're at an impasse. There's nothing you can talk about. Oh, was there an imminent threat? Their first opening line was an opening threat. Their first opening line was telling you, we want you dead. Remember? Death to America. It wasn't a mantra. It wasn't a song. It's their ideology. What the hell is wrong with Democrats? Don't you understand that's what they wanted? And I loved how he said it. Yeah, it's our inalienable right to shut you down. All right, so we're going to dance here? We're going to just continue playing around.
Well, let me get a little in the weeds if we can. My understanding was you got to a point where you were discussing enriched uranium at very low levels for civilian purposes, although I don't think they really need it because they have all the energy they'd ever want. But did that come up? Was that offer made to them?
We discussed with them 10 years of no enrichment whatsoever, and we would pay for the fuel, and it was flatly rejected. And the president sent us in there to have a good faith negotiation. Pardon me?
You're saying that we would give it to them, and they rejected that?
We actually had that, and they rejected that, which told us at that very moment that they had no notion of doing anything other than retaining enrichment for the purpose of weaponizing.
You made a statement last week, and when I heard it, and I've known you for a long time, and you are a friend, and when you made the statement that, in fact, they may be a week away from possibly having capability, at that moment, I interpreted that to mean it's go time, it's over. Was I wrong? Was that the moment that it was over?
Well, I don't know if that exact moment it was over, but I know this. They have 10,000, roughly, kilograms of fissionable material. That's broken up into roughly 460 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, another 1,000 kilograms of 20% enriched uranium, and the balance is at 3.67. They manufacture their own centrifuges to enrich this material. So there's almost no stopping them. They have an endless supply of it. The 60% material, Sean, can be brought to 90%. That's weapons grade, in roughly 1 week, maybe 10 days at the outside. The 20% can be brought to weapons grade inside of 3 to 4 weeks. And let me say this, because I forgot this small little detail. In that first meeting, both the Iranian negotiators said to us directly, with no shame, that they controlled 460 kilograms of 60%, and they're aware that that could make 11 nuclear bombs, and that was the beginning of their negotiating stance.
I haven't heard this anywhere else. Here's a guy who was in the room, and no one in the media is talking about it. They had the capability for 11 nuclear bombs. They would be ready. They would be weaponized. They had weapon grade uranium within a week. No, there's no imminent threat. They're saying this, and they're asking all these stupid questions to Marco Rubio and making all these dumb statements. Oh, there was no threat to America. At what point was there a threat? If they could have gotten a nuclear weapon in less than a couple weeks, were we supposed to wait until they got one and fired it and went, well, I guess they had it? None of this makes sense from a media perspective when you think about it. The only thing they could possibly be saying is they didn't have it. But the problem with that is even the Iranians didn't lie about it. It would be one thing if right now you would see on television one of the Iranians come out and say, we have no intention of creating a nuclear bomb. We're not even doing it. We don't have anything. Nobody's saying it. Nobody's debating whether or not they had uranium enriched to the point of making a weapon. So if nobody's debating that, what do you mean there wasn't an imminent threat from an enemy that wants you dead? These people are too much. They hate Trump that much that they're willing to have Americans wholesale die just so you can leave the Muslim country alone.
So they were proud of it. They were proud that they had evaded all sorts of oversight protocols to get to a place where they could deliver 11 nuclear bombs.
What I wouldn't do to be a fly on the wall in that room, because Steve, you're a negotiator. You've run the most successful businesses, built some of the most beautiful golf courses. It defies all logic and reason for them to sit there as if Midnight Hammer never happened and dictate to you that the one thing that President Trump insisted on, they can't get a nuclear weapon, they're going to go forward anyway. How stupid are they? Were they? They're done. They're gone now.
Well, it was pretty silly, but they thought they could strong-arm us. You know, President Trump sent me and Jared there to really determine on his behalf whether they were serious about doing a deal that addressed his objectives, which are elimination of their missile program, elimination of their advocacy and support for proxies, which is destabilizing the entire Middle East, elimination of their Navy so we can have freedom of the seas and not be threatened with the shutdown of the Gulf of Hormuz, and finally, no nuclear enrichment that can get them to weapons grade, which means no nuclear bomb.
So he just laid out the negotiation points. He just laid out the objectives, the same thing that the media says there are no objectives. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. There's no game plan. Like, are you freaking serious? What are you talking about? Maybe you don't know, but you're assuming the president of the United States doesn't have clear objectives, and the people he has working with him don't have any objectives either. That's the problem we're having right now, is that the media is trying to, as I started the show a couple hours ago, there is no allegiance anymore. All it is misinformation, disinformation, propaganda to try and attack America. They might as well put on turbans themselves. You would think the media right now would be like, oh, we can't have this. We can't have a country like that who burns the flag and says, death to America. That should be enough. I know if I went outside and somebody pointed a gun at me, I'm not going to wait until they shoot. None of you would. Honey, there's somebody breaking in. I can hear noise downstairs. Well, let's just see if they get in the house first, okay? If they get in the house, then we'll deal with it. It doesn't make any sense at all. Honey, I can look on the Ring doorbell camera and there's 2 or 3 guys out there with sticks and stuff, and they're breaking the doors. Yeah, but they're not in the house yet. They might stop. They might not, there might not be anything big for us to deal with. That's the insanity of what they keep saying. How do you know it was a threat? I see them on the Ring doorbell. They've got enriched uranium. Is there any other purpose to have enriched uranium at that level? Any reason? Especially when the people who have it say want to kill America. The big Satan. I could see if it was, I don't know, Greenland. What are you guys doing with all that uranium? Oh, we're just trying to figure out what to do with it. You're stupid, but yeah, I don't think you're ready to blow up America. Meanwhile, on the other side, hey, we want y'all dead. You're the great Satan. They're the little Satan. Your women are sluts. And you got a whole bunch of LGBTQ people around. You're all messed up. We need to fix you. And yet our media sides with them. There is a certain, it's not even TDS, it's like ADS, American syndrome at this point, American derangement syndrome. How can you hate this country so much that you will align with any other country before you will align with America? Where did your job take a left or turn or so where you're like, I'm not going to talk anything good about this country. I'm going to try and promote as much bad stuff as possible. Why? I can't.
Went in there and tried to make a fair deal with them, and it was very, very clear that it was going to be impossible, probably by the end of the second meeting. But we then went back for the third meeting just to give it the last college try. And of course, they thought they wanted us to report positivity. It was not positive, that meeting.
Oh, Steve Witkoff, I know you've been flying all over the globe, and on your own dime. I think people do need to know that. If you don't mind me telling people, serving your country, serving the president, doing your best to bring peace to the world. They brought this action on themselves. You gave them every opportunity to take the exit ramp off. They decided not to, but we really appreciate you sharing all that with us. Steve Witkoff, Middle East envoy. Thank you, sir.
I left that part in because I thought it was important that you guys should hear it. That Jared, obviously his son-in-law, Steve Witkoff, a former business partner, these guys are doing it for free. Actually, not for free because it's costing them money. They're not government employees. They're not being paid. They're not getting government jets. They're out here trying to save the country because they love the country. Nobody talks about that. Oh, Jared Kushner, he's a rich guy, and he's a rich Jewish guy, and blah, 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 blah. Where are they? They're not talking to the Ayatollah. Luckily, there is at least one Democrat who's like, we can't keep going this way.
All right, my next guest is baffled that so many of his fellow Democrats are unwilling to support President Trump's decisive action in Iran. He's now asking his colleagues in the Senate to pick a side, empty sloganeering or a commitment to global security. Here with more, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is with us. Senator, I've been watching, paying attention. Seems like almost everybody else in your party wants to have a battle over, the War Powers Act. Something they never asked of Barack Obama or Joe Biden when they engaged in military efforts. I can put a list up on the screen. Why? Is it just because it's Donald Trump, and is the world not a safer place?
I mean, I think I summed up my sentiments in just that tweet that I put out. It's like, I mean, every single member of the Senate has agreed that we can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb. And clearly they were actually intending to do that. So are you really committed that? Are you willing to just put out tweets and have some harsh language? Or are you really going to support some ones that actually produced that? And now let's look at this condition now after what the president decided to do. And I truly don't understand why people can't just be energized and just actually celebrate. They killed 49 members of their leadership in one day, and now they are sinking all of their ships too. Right? This is a significant development of regional peace in that. So I just can't understand. I mean, for me, it's a country over party. I'm proud to stand with our military, and now I don't understand. It's like, if you really believe that they should never acquire these kinds of nuclear weapons or these kinds of longer range kinds of missiles, and if somebody decides to do that and make sure that that's not going to happen, why can't we all just acknowledge that that's a good thing it's a good thing for the region. It's a good thing for Israel. It's good for America. And so for me, that's why stand with the country over perhaps what the base may demand.
I don't know if you had the 2026 bingo card or even the 2025 bingo card with John Fetterman being the sensible person in the Democrat Party. Now, I understand he could flip at a moment, but at least he's got the ability to have a discussion about putting your country first. The fact that he's willing to even talk about putting your country first is way beyond all the other Democrats. He still has his crazy views, but he understands, in this regard at least, you got to put your country first. He might still want food stamps for everybody. He still might want welfare for everybody, but at least he's got somewhere in his hoodie there, he's got something that says, I got to back America, period. All right, well, I'll take that.
It's inexplicable to me, Senator. I don't really understand it. For the first time since 1979, the Persian people, the people of Iran, have a chance to live in freedom, not under this rigid, violent, number one state sponsor of terror, theocracy, which is a death cult. Clearly the people wanted it because they were taking to the streets. What happened to the Democratic Party with this rise of anti-Semitism in the halls of Congress, on college campuses? Where were those same protesters? Where were those same voices when Iranians took to the streets and they were being slaughtered by the theocratic leaders of Iran?
Yeah,
why?
Exactly. The Iranians may have killed up to 30,000 of their young people. Not a peep on any of the university campuses or complaining about all that. Not at all. And this is the thing. So I mean, why can't we all just celebrate that one of the most evil men ever that lived in this region have been eliminated? That's a great thing. And then I just salute our military and what we've accomplished partnering with Israel. Now, if you want real peace, tweets and harsh language isn't going to work, because definitely all the other things didn't either. Sanctions, treatings, negotiating, it's like they haven't worked. And now after since 1979, look what happened, and that's why I think this is a great thing, and that's why it should be a bipartisan thing. You don't have to agree on everything necessarily, but why can't we all just say the world is better now after this operation? So I'm proud to stand with the military. I'm proud to stand with the Iranian people now that they have the opportunity to have real peace. And I'm again unapologetic supporter of Israel, and that's why, I'm just baffled, honestly, why there are not more people can't just celebrate just like all those people on your screen.
If he can't make heads or tails of it, and he's a Democrat, and he's around other Democrats, how in the hell are we supposed to make sense of it? How are we supposed to grasp what these people are trying to do? It doesn't make any sense at all. None. That's almost like the definition of something being demonic, because if they can't explain why they are the way they are, have they been, mentally invaded? Something just doesn't make any sense with the Democrats. But the one thing that does make sense, and that you have to realize, is that when President Trump said that this afternoon, the first thing I posted, the very first thing I posted, that the revolution is still ongoing. It's just being fought differently. And we're seeing it right now. I mean, you're actually seeing, there I go again. We're actually seeing traitorous people. All right, so I'm going to do, hold on, let me play this again.
250 years is a long time in the life of a nation, but in another sense, it's really a mere moment in the eye of history. On July 4th, 1826, the author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, drew his last breath. Just a single long human lifespan separates the giants who declared and won our independence from the heroes who stand among us tonight. Everything our nation has done, everything we have achieved, has been the work of those few great lifetimes. In those brief chapters, Americans built this nation from 13 humble colonies into the pinnacle of human civilization and human freedom, the strongest, wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in all of history. Americans ventured out across the daunting and dangerous continent. We carved paths through an unforgiving wilderness, settled a boundless frontier, and tamed the beautiful but very, very dangerous Wild West. From empty marshes and wide open plains, we raised up the world's greatest cities. Together we mastered the world's mightiest industries and shattered history's monstrous tyrannies. And we liberated millions from the chains of fascism, communism, oppression, and terror. Americans lifted humanity into the skies on the wings of aluminum and steel, and then we launched mankind into the stars on rockets powered by sheer American will and unyielding American pride. We captivated the planet with American culture, and now we are pioneering the next great American breakthroughs that will change the entire world. All of this and so much more is the enduring legacy, unmatched glory of the hardworking patriots who built and defended this country, because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of Providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. The golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before.
You know, I looked at that, and just thought that was just incredible in terms of what he just said. It was worth playing a second time so you guys could hear that. All right, so let me do super chats and get these gremlins out of my computer. I really appreciate you guys sitting through that, the problems that we had. But in any event, understand that America is still in the revolution. And I can send you guys and post that picture from Teddy Roosevelt, but man, that really spoke to me. I hope it spoke to you. All right, Lady Gizmo, we are in Revelation 19, 11, 17. Our president is part of it. We must pray for our country first and then the world. President Trump is the only president to see us through this revolution. I'm an American and willing to fight. As well we should be. John, I got $100. This interview will be over by Sunday. Anybody want to take a bet? This intervention will be over by Sunday. Well, it could be. Could very well be. They can't take much more pounding. Post a position on Indeed and LinkedIn. He's talking about for the new Ayatollah. Maybe one of these Democrats will go over there and take the job. American Mania, Barry, have you seen any reaction videos about our national anthem as told by Ronald Reagan? I'll have to look at that. Thank you. Buddy Sanders, Spain has been invaded by Islamic migrants. That is a big thing. I bet you that's what's wrong. What was wrong with England as well. They can't control what they've allowed in their country. And so it's very hard for them to speak out. And Spain is, yep, you're right. Spain is one of them. Dems concerned about forever wars. What about Ukraine? Very well said. You're not supposed to notice that kind of stuff. And Kelly, thank you very much. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here, head home, and look to go live tonight about 8 o'clock. I'm going to talk about Kristi Noem, and then I'm going to talk about Tim Tebow. I'm wondering if I have to jump over or we're going to be okay. We'll see about that. All right, so let's convene probably about 7:30. It won't be a long show, probably about an hour show. I don't want to go too late tonight, but let's meet later on. We'll talk about it.
The administration has said that this whole
you.